Okay, guys, we are back at long last, and oh my gosh, you would not believe the last 2 weeks that I've had. I fully intended putting a video out this past Monday. It's now, I don't know, what is it, Tuesday? Yes, I fully intended to have a video like ready to go this past weekend. Didn't happen. Let me tell you why. Y'all know I went on my girls' trip last weekend, right, with my book club. I don't know the details about that, but I went on a girls' trip, okay? I went on vacation, and it was great. I had an amazing time. They're awesome girls. And I get back. I'm really, really tired. I'm like, I can't film. I am so tired. I'm just hanging out on Twitter, now known as X. And I'm mad because my skin is crazy. And right now I'm wearing makeup, right? I'm wearing makeup. I hate this makeup, okay? I hate it. I hate it so much. And part of the reason is because I stopped making my makeup. It's called, like, I used to use the L'Oreal True Match makeup and it sits really nice in your skin. But I swear, every other kind of makeup, it like ages me. I hate it. So I'm just like tweeting about, I'm just like following some tweets or whatever, or posts, what they call them now. I get inspired in the moment from being like seeing some like sad story. I'm like, I have a sad story I can talk about. It's a story about my friend. And I just post this 4-paragraph story on Twitter, now known as X. And within a few hours, my 90 follower Twitter account has 400,000 views on the story. Now, let's be clear, I won the ratio war, but a lot of people were really mad. They were like, for whatever reason, personally offended by the story that happened to somebody else. I don't know why. Disclaimer, don't go searching for my Twitter account, okay? It's not meant for like, it's not connected to my YouTube at all. I mean, and also you would not be interested. It's basically just a bunch of takes on like my religion and Lord of the Rings. So, and a lot of jokes that, interact between those two things. But yeah, that was mentally exhausting. It was really exhausting to have 400,000 people turn around and stare at you on the internet when you weren't expecting. Like, I expected here, like, I'm not expecting 400,000 people on YouTube to look at me, but I accept the possibility. I was not expecting it on Twitter. I was not expecting hundreds of people to go into my comments and tell me that they think I'm a liar, that they think I'm an awful person. How did I take it? Well, I mean, I took it in stride, guys. I mean, as I constantly say, the internet is not a safe space. You put something out there, you got to expect what you get, right? I'm not a hypocrite in that regard. But it was exhausting. It was mentally exhausting. And you know what? I feel like I won that war. As I said, I won the ratio war. I came out on top. I made a few friends along the way. It was pretty cool. But I'm tired. I'm very tired. Okay? I went to battle, won, slept a lot after that. And now I'm here, guys, and we're here to watch the part 3 of Rebecca's episode of the Fab Fatties at long last. Okay, that was a long catch up. We're gonna get going. And what happened last time? Well, seems like to me they're trying to struggle session Rebecca into going to therapy. Okay. Speaking of which, talk about my whole experience in therapy. Let's just jump right into it, guys, because it's been a while since I even watched back the episodes that I edited, and I don't even think my brain can handle much at the moment. We're just gonna sit back, we're gonna chill, we're gonna watch, we're gonna react, we're gonna sleuth, right? We're trying to figure out still, why did Maria leave the Fab Fatties? Was she forced out? Was it Rebecca? Was it Allie? Was it both of them working together? What is Alyssa's role in this? Does she have a role? Stay tuned. We're just gonna I'm gonna share my screen and we're gonna get on with it. By the way, this is like the first time Maria's spoken in like 10 minutes, and she had some thoughts about that in the comments in the previous episode. You wanna go check that out?
You often call yourself a little alien, which I fully believe because you were out of this world.
Oh, yeah, girl.
But the real question
is, she's so cute.
She just flirted with you. That made me giggle when I read it. Oh my god.
So, related to being an alien, though, do you think that your experience as a fat woman has shaped this idea? Since our bodies are often the topic of unwanted discussion, we're often kind of seen as like, not so secret laboratory patients, like with Ozempic and all these other weight loss drugs that they're just like kind of unsure about, but they're just like try
little
it.
experiment bodies.
Yeah. So do you think that
I have a quick comment on this. They're saying that like fat people's bodies tend to be like little experiments or whatever, or lab rats. This happens to a lot of people with any kind of like chronic disease or a common disease, okay? There is a whole list of medications that doctors want to push on you, and they're going to find the one to push. And sometimes they're not supposed to do this. We all know that they do. There's kickbacks happening, and there's one specific medication they would like to push on you. Happens to everybody. It's not just if you're fat, but it can happen if you have high cholesterol, which, to be fair, high cholesterol and that can overlap. It can happen with migraines. I once knew somebody who participated in a clinical trial for migraines. She got a brain tumor. I know. And the thing is that every other person in that trial also got a brain tumor. She was the only one who survived. And that had nothing to do with the fact that she was overweight. But yeah, guys, it can happen to you regardless of your body size. So claiming that the fat people themselves are the lab rats, I would say it's the one that we talk about because it's the one where you can see the most visible difference. Like if somebody's having migraines and there's like a freaky migraine medication giving people like brain tumors, you're not going to hear about it as much because it's inside the brain, right? But if there's a fat drug that can make you less fat, you're definitely going to hear about it because you're going to see the visual results, and people are visual creatures. And that's my 2 cents on that. Let's see what else you have to say.
Your experience as an alien quotes relates to that at all?
It's hard for me to separate my fat body from myself at all because I was fat so young. I've always felt a little bit different personality-wise than other people. I've always felt a little bit different. Humor-wise, I am a more serious person than a lot of people. And so I feel like I'm a little bit alien in every way. In my preferences, like in my choices for life, all things feel a little bit off the beat, even though I know I'm really not that far off the beat, just, one little beat off.
The off the beat part, that's that 4-wing talking right there. I want to just do a quick comment. I don't think I've talked too much about it, but she said something like, I can't separate myself from my fat body because I was fat so young. While I can understand why that is, maybe that is the reason why she should go to therapy. Not to jump on the therapy bandwagon. I did talk about the over medicalization of people in general with both drugs and therapy. And you shouldn't just like push people into things just because you want to justify your own life decisions. But it is a problem if fat is a part of your identity. We knew that to begin with, right? We knew that all the people in this group had fat as a part of their identity. Now, I'm a fat person for sure. For sure. I'm fat. I'm losing a lot of weight. I've lost like 100 pounds. I got a little bit more to lose. I mean, a lot more to lose. Fat is not the first thing I think about every single day. And it's funny because I am going to the gym like nearly every single day, but I'm not thinking about, oh, I'm fat and need to go to the gym. I'm thinking like, oh, I got to build up these muscles. It's like, it's more compartmentalized than that. I'm not necessarily like looking in the mirror most days and going like, oh, I'm fat. Although I looked in the mirror recently and I was like, I'm a little bit smaller. What I mean is when I go out into the world and I interact with people, I am not thinking I'm a fat person interact with people. I think I'm a person. I'm a Lisa person who goes out and interacts with other people. And then occasionally I remember like, oh yeah, I'm fat. And that's the way I think it should be. Fat is a neutral descriptor. I don't think it's an easy thing to lose weight. And I could be wrong about this. Maybe some of y'all need to be motivated by the fact that you're fat. But at least for me, I need to be neutrally in line with my body to just progress weight wise. Okay, I said I wasn't talking about this too long, but it just reminded me of a story when I lived in Japan. So when I lived in Japan, I lived in an area where I was one of like, I kid you not, 3 foreigners in this entire like town of like 5,000 people. And this town was isolated from a lot of other towns because it was in the mountains. And it was made up of like 4 different towns. So like my section was 1,500 and I was one of the 2 foreigners there. And then the next town over had 3,000 people. And that was 1 foreigner. And then we put it all together, plus the 500 person township that was a little bit further up the mountains, all together with 5,000 people. 3 of us were foreigners, 2 Americans and 1 Filipina. And it eventually became 4. It was an Australian girl who moved there. But my point is, not many foreigners. So you go outside every single day and you see a Japanese person. You don't see another American. You see a Japanese face. If you grew up in America as a white person, then you go outside and you're used to seeing other white people everywhere, and you don't really ever think about it, right? Now, when I lived in Japan, at first, maybe that first year, I would think, oh my gosh, I'm like so different. I didn't really care about it, but it was like, it was obvious that you were just, I wasn't Asian. And it was obvious that I wasn't Asian. But after a while, I would say about like year 2, I kind of forgot that I wasn't Asian. I'm not saying I thought I was Asian, but I would just not ever think about it because I would go outside, I would speak to my neighbors, I would speak to people at the store, and I would speak in Japanese. And I would just be like, I'm speaking Japanese and I'm thinking in Japanese and I'm interacting. And I would, sometimes they would ask me about America or like other cultural questions. And then I'd, remember, oh yeah, I'm American. And I would talk about that. But I would never really like remember what I looked like and how it was that different because I was interacting with people on more of a human level. And so I was just a woman or a person interacting in the world with other women and men, regardless of what we looked like. Every now and then, I would take a bus or a train or something into like a larger city, and I'd be sitting on that train. I would look over. There was a white person. I'd be like, huh, white person. I'm not Japanese. I know that sounds totally insane, but it was like that. And they would look at me too, and we'd be like, we wouldn't talk to each other. there was no reason to start a conversation, but it'd be like, oh yeah, that realization, right? So you can compare that to kind of like fatness in the way that it's kind of crazy that you can't separate who you are from your body size. It's something that definitely should be compartmentalized. It shouldn't be a part of your identity to that much of an extreme. Like, I can understand if it causes you health issues, which it probably typically does. And so you can feel the effects of that all the time. But if you're not feeling the effects, like you claim you don't, remember, if these people believe in health at every size, then it shouldn't be such a strong part of your identity.
But yeah, I mean, for sure, my body has contributed to that. You know, there's, I can't remember if I've already shared this or not, but whenever I was young and we'd go cruising down the road in Hickory, North Carolina, we'd cruise up and down US 70 and we'd wave at boys and we'd pull over and talk to them. I was often the driver, so I've often been the mom figure. Okay. And we'd pull over and the guys would ask my friends' names and they wouldn't ask my name. And there'd be no indication that I was there. I was just kind of like in the background, just invisible.
Yeah.
So almost an invisible alien, you know, but definitely not one of the peer groups. I always felt like the stuff that they were doing wasn't for me. We talked about that in some other episodes. But yeah, like a lot of the stuff that is normal life experiences wasn't for me. And I think as an adult, a lot of my like things that I find to be like giving me drive in life is doing the things that I thought wasn't for me, and now they're for me. I'm like, I'm gonna do these things. Never went to camp as a kid. I was very scared of that. Went to camp twice as an adult. Like, I want to go do the things that I used to think weren't for me.
I personally think that's great. That's actually a great growth thing to do as an adult. You should do the things that scare you. That's absolutely great for personality development, for character development, for helping to challenge you to do new things, meet new people, things like that. So I absolutely love that part of it. I do wonder if she was implying, though, earlier, not just because personality and alien wise, which she says she can't separate from her identity, but the whole she would pull over and the boys wouldn't ask her name. As somebody who was also an overweight teenager or in like overweight college student, people ask my name. But then again, I'm very extroverted and I personally think I'm kind of charismatic. And so I never really had that issue. I mean, obviously, I'm single. I could never like close the deal on getting that to be, into a marriage contract. But typically, when it comes to first impressions, introductions, I got that down. And I really do think vibe has so much to do with it. I've talked about this before, like some people will say like, "Oh, I go out in the world and everybody is just like cold and shut down to me." And it's like, "Well, what are you like? Are you an open person? Are you expressing gradients? Do you have like a sunny energy that people are going to be drawn to? Because if you don't, people are going to see that cold, clammy, nervous anxiety and they're just going to shut down around you." I've had that off and on throughout my life for various reasons, but I would say the majority of my life I've typically been a more open, extroverted person. And I feel like I only become more open and extroverted the older that I get. Case in point, my whole like Twitter fiasco with getting that attention on me. Cause like once that happened, I talked about this, like, I think it was in the last episode. Yeah, it was in the last episode. It's so weird. This is like so serendipitous. The synchronicity is off the charts. But I said doing YouTube was, in my part, challenging myself to overcome some of my past traumas over public humiliation. Because if I'm putting myself out here, then I can control that perception. I don't know, that's really hard to explain. But when I went viral on Twitter over something completely unrelated, I couldn't control that. I could delete the post, I guess. I could have blocked a bunch of people. I think I muted it after a while because people were like so freaking unhinged. But it was a very liberating experience despite all the hate that I got, because immediately after I was just like, is there ever going to be another case or instance in my life where I will get this much exposure? I mean, maybe on here. This is more visual. That was just text, right? This is more visual. Maybe they'll find this video and then they'll be like, and they'll like post it on Twitter and then it gets more viral. But then hopefully you guys come to my defense, right? You'll be there fighting the trenches for me. But yeah, back to that. I was like, there's probably not going to be many more possibly publicly exposed potentially humiliating things that could happen in my life than this one post going viral and me getting this much hate. And after that, I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of like being nervous about the stuff that I post on the internet. I'm just gonna post it and not give a crap because because that experience didn't kill me. And it didn't, I mean, maybe cry a little bit because I was just like a little bit overwhelmed. Thought that I was like so sad. I was just like overwhelmed. I was like, I can't handle this. I was already tired. Now I'm like more tired. Extremely exhausted. But yeah, it was that was certainly a doozy. And I lived through it. So as I said, sometimes you just gotta like put yourself out there and just stop caring what people think. Have that open vibe and you'll attract people to you. Happened to me.
All right,
And I'm gonna have
Alyssa.
alien baby one day.
One question, Alyssa.
No, I felt like I held the floor. I was going to step back a little bit and let you guys keep going. Truly. Go for it.
I feel like I have kind of a hard question for you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Uh,
Okay.
Always.
All right.
You're not gonna break me.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. No, I'm just kidding. So you have labeled yourself and you've talked about this freely before, but you are our 27-year-old virgin.
Yeah. Now 36-year-old not virgin. But
Now 36-year-old not virgin.
I need to clear my name.
She did stuff last night.
She's like, I have sex now.
Do you think
Maria likes that
I
one.
know that we I know that we've talked about, there being, part of your fat experience, obviously being part of that, but is there anything that happened earlier in life that may have contributed to you to your sexuality, to or lack thereof, maybe that's not the right term, but to maybe being a late bloomer, air quotes, or maybe holding off or whatever led to you holding on to that until you were 27?
Yeah.
Is there anything?
Yeah. And one of the things that Allie talked about in her episode made me think of this memory, kind of like unlocked it for me. I remember it, but oftentimes what I tell people about this experience is in the 8th grade, I had my first ish, I'm gonna say first consensual sexual experience. We'll say it that way. And trigger warning, this is like really young. This is an experience I had that was kind of messed up. And when I talk about that experience, I talk about the fact that after that it happened, I got shamed thoroughly in the 8th grade and everyone talked about it. Everyone knew about it. I only had a couple friends that like literally were like, LOL, you're still the same. Like I had very few people that did that for me. And I talk about the shame part that came from people knowing about it. But what I realized is I've never told a single soul what actually happened. And
will you tell us?
I will, and we'll see it. We'll see how weird it feels to tell people this. I mean, I've literally never told a single soul, but I just felt like my body was the opposite of attractive. It actually was repulsive.
Okay, guys, she just told a very, very long underage story about some sex experiences, and I'm not going to put that in here. I edited it out. If you really want to watch it, go see it. It's kind of horrifying, and I'm not going to like make too many comments on that just because, just respect her dignity in that situation because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. What I will say though is there is something that Allie says where she's like, what caused you to be like, quote, a late bloomer, or like, why did you wait so long to engage in your first sex experiences? And I really don't like the implication. I hate the term late bloomer because it presents this idea that everybody needs to start doing stuff around the same time. And while there might be an average, that average has changed throughout human history based on what is happening culturally. And I feel like it unfairly puts pressure on a lot of people who might end up making decisions that they would otherwise not want to make simply because they feel like they're left behind. And so when they have conversations like that, not just them, but like other people, I feel like that's just very inappropriate. And, make your own decisions, do what's right for you, and don't listen to anybody else. And now that's been said, we're going to move on, and there might be some more edited out from here just because that's a really huge part of this middle section of what we're watching. And this video might be a little bit shorter because I'm trying to like figure out how long was spent on there. But yeah, we're doing our best just to respect her. Weird to say, respect her privacy, despite the fact she puts it on the internet. I'm not saying my story is similar to her story, but I will say the humiliation aspect is similar, even though the story is completely different. And so I can definitely understand like the weird shame and embarrassment that she's feeling. The difference is like I'm not putting that on the internet. And maybe she needs to, but I feel like that is a discussion that you should have had off camera, which is why I'm not going to share it here.
And
I'm so sorry that happened to you. I would like names and social security numbers because I will find them.
And in high school, I would see him in the hallways when I finally got in there, like to 9th grade and such. And yeah.
And I want to say, whoever that boy's parents were, you should feel ashamed of yourselves that you raised such a kid. Like, straight to jail.
It was really awkward. And he was like just a reminder that like I was there to please him because I was a friend, but also I didn't because I was ugly and fat.
I'm so sorry that happened to you. Fuck.
Don't look at me.
I don't know what to say.
There's been a couple experiences where I feel like I've been so violated. Some of them more recent, some of them older. That to be able to like be in a space with someone isn't easy for me. It's really weird because sometimes I'm like, is it too easy for me sometimes? Because like I'm like, am I detaching and that's why it's easy for me in this moment, you know? But like I really have to be approached the right way because I've had so many people do wrong things to me. But he told me it was my anxiety. That my anxiety ruined our relationship. So sometimes when people are like, your anxiety is doing XYZ, I get real defensive.
That's not your fault.
Because I feel like my anxiety protects me. My anxiety
does.
voices what
Anxiety-
feels wrong to
And
me.
you listen to it.
No, but like anxiety's function is a protector.
Yeah.
Just like fear is. Like the actual function of that emotion, right? Anxiety, let's just think about it in like the easiest term. You get anxious for a test.
So I'm going to cut out more of that there just because I don't want to post her private sex life on this channel. That's not at all something I want to discuss. What I will say is that she made mention of how she's had a lot of very bad experiences as an older person. And that is an unfortunate reality of being super morbidly obese and trying to date. There's a lot of fetishists out there, people who completely disrespect your body and they want to fetishize it and they're going to do weird crap. And that's the weird crap that people who have like average size body types already have to deal with. Like we have a massive problem with like, shall I call it the prawn issue and people trying to prawn their sex lives. And then the older you get, like for example, I'm in my mid 30s, the more you're likely you're going to run into people who want to objectify you. There's a reason why they're not married too. So you could be a perfectly normal person. Like I consider myself a normal person. Like I know the reason why I'm single. But sometimes you discover the reason why somebody else is single. And there's a reason why I'm still single. And that's one of the reasons. Still looking for a good Christian man, not somebody who's trying to use me or lie to me and use me, all that stuff, right? So yeah, another reason why I'm just like, ooh, I don't want to put that in this video. And now that being said, like what I said about you're more likely to run the fetishists if you're fat and trying to date, doesn't mean that she deserves that. Like every single person deserves respect and dignity in their love lives. And our culture is so incredibly messed up at the moment when it comes to dating. Like I think I came across an article the other day that said something like the second highest cause of stroke in women under 40 is being choked during sex. Like what the absolute F, right? Nobody else was doing that like in human history. Like it's clearly like something that was in the degeneracy world that made its way into the real world. And ladies, don't get yourself talked into that. Nobody wants a stroke under the age of 40. My God. But yeah, that's a big problem. And all I can say is, y'all need Jesus. Let's go to church. Find them good Christian men. Hopefully they're not messed up either.
The anxiety is there because you want to perform well.
Yeah.
Right? It's serving a purpose.
Mhm.
So yeah, saying that anxiety is protecting you, that's not a wild thought.
Yeah. I think it's why I struggle, like, whenever guys do say a lot of like good things about my body or bad things, like I just feel so bleh, numb. Okay, it serves you, cool. It doesn't serve you, cool. Like, it just doesn't feel good, and so that took me a long time to be like, well, what can feel good with my body if all the way people process and talk and all that doesn't feel good.
Right.
So yeah, that's been an exploration as an adult, is how can I make it feel good if I hate the way people talk about my body. You know?
How does it feel to have told that story?
It feels freeing. I kind of wish I could have cried. And maybe if I had told y'all and it wouldn't have been on camera, maybe I could have cried with you.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit of like, I can feel it on my back and I want to release it.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I cried, it could have released it. But like, I'm doing a little deep sigh. That's releasing some of it. But it doesn't feel fully released yet, you know?
Like, I want to cry with you right now.
Maria's
Look at
already.
me.
It's interesting. I can definitely see why this is one of her formative experiences and how it influences her opinions on everything today. Because, like, my goodness, that is an extreme outlier situation. And obviously, she is connecting it to her fatness. Like, she didn't say it explicitly, that first experience that we are not showing on this channel, that it was because she was fat. Although she seems to imply that that's part of it. And I'll take her word for it because I wasn't there. And teenage boys in particular can be very, very cruel. So I'm willing to believe her that happened, especially in middle school. My God. But then to have all the repeated experiences, and this typically happens with trauma. For whatever reason, you find yourself like in the same experience over and over and over again, whether you like put yourself in that situation again or the situation feels more traumatic. It feels more traumatic to you specifically because you're reliving something and it's compounding against something else. And I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up with like CPTSD from something like this, just simply because it's the same traumatic experience happening again and again and again and again. What I do think is odd, though, is how these formative experiences have now influenced other areas of fat acceptance. Like, I can understand if she was talking about like dating and just regular self-respect, but the fact this goes on to be about like medical issues, it's like that's where I'm like, these are completely different categories. But once again, she can't separate her fatness from her identity, so all the categories kind of merge together. And I think that's like the crux of the issue here.
I wish I could have cried. I wish I could have released it, but I probably wouldn't be able to cry unless I was by myself about it.
Yeah.
And it's been on my mind since we filmed your episode, you know, that moment. And thinking about the fact that I've always shortened it to, I got shamed in 8th grade for doing something sexual, but I didn't say what actually was the damaging part of it. Like,
Yeah.
people knowing I did a BJ, whatever,
Yeah.
quite frankly. The other stuff was a much more, that hurt. Yeah.
I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Okay. Mm.
I'm so sorry that happened to you.
It feels weird because it's like that person it happened to is so far removed.
Yeah. I get that.
But that is that little girl inside of you.
It
though.
is. It's like, okay, how did I go from that to this? You know? But it does make dating complicated for me. It does make, even when girls talk about what's hot or not, complicated for me. And to protect myself, I try to shield. Like, I try to be like, that's their thoughts, separate from me, doesn't have to touch me. And I do wonder, like, I do wonder if I can get there. Like, I think that's what I struggle with, is can I get there in terms of really trusting somebody?
Yeah.
because I trust to a level I'm comfortable with, and I trust some people way more than others. But there's a fear I have, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And always.
I'm just so angry right now.
Yeah.
Like, the little girl in me is so sad for the little girl in you,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I would have been your friend, and
Yeah.
I like would never would have put you in that situation or that scenario.
I'm right there with Maria. I want to hear what the rest of what she has to say, but that's kind of exactly what I was thinking too. Like, her friend was terrible in that situation. Like, I understand she was the same age and she was also being taken advantage of by these like older high school guys, but I remember what it was like to be 13, 14 years old in 8th grade, okay? And I can back this up with science too, okay? By the age of 12, you develop those critical thinking skills. They're starting to develop. And so you can now make conscious decisions about things, and you can do theory of mind, you can do all these different things by the age of 12, 13. So there's no excuse here. This girl was absolutely malicious. Absolutely malicious. I would not be surprised if there was some other dark stuff happening in her history. Like, clearly her parents weren't there. We know what was going on. It's a failure of the family, failure of our culture that allows families like this to be acceptable. But I cannot imagine for a second doing that to one of my friends. And also, and unfortunately for Rebecca, like, I feel so bad for her that she felt that pressure. I know for a fact I would just like left right away. I'm like, oh, wow, there's high school boys here. I would like run out the door. That would have been me. I didn't even like really start drinking until I was like 22 or something. But it's really awful. So I definitely feel Allie and Maria's empathy here. And Maria's right. That was a terrible friend. Maria would have been a much better friend to Rebecca.
I'm so angry that that friend, quote unquote,
Yeah.
did that to you and thought it was okay and thought that that's how you're supposed to treat somebody in general, let alone somebody that you're close with.
And see, I can't
Like,
even be
fuck
mad at
that
her.
girl.
I can't even
I'm
be
mad at her. I'm mad at her
because I know she had a shitty life.
I don't care. That's no excuse to pass it on.
She is right. That is one thing I will 100% agree on. Like I said, I also said like something probably bad happened in her life too. There's still no excuse. I've said this before, not on this channel, but in real life. People don't realize that trauma is contagious. There is something about children who experience trauma, and they need to pass that trauma onto other children. And I think that was the case here. That being said, there is still no excuse, especially at her age. Just side note, I want you to look at Maria's face here. She is fully empathizing. Okay, this is actual, genuine concern, care, feeling. It sucks that their friendship fell apart shortly after this because she truly does care for Rebecca.
And I can feel for her and I empathize for her too. But what she did with you isn't right.
Not right at all.
And for her to put any question on your body or to make you feel anything about yourself because of what happened to her is wrong. And I know hurt people, but that doesn't make it any better. And you deserve so much more.
Thank you. I think part of it is like me knowing that I wasn't supposed to hear that conversation.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, what do people
it
talk
was a
about me?
situation
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
And then to sit there and say those things behind your back.
Yeah, like I just had probably the weirdest night of my life where I did things that weren't normal to me, right? And I wanted to feel normal
that
with
you
my
didn't want to do
friends.
anyway.
Yeah.
That you weren't really necessarily
And when I
comfortable
drank,
with.
like I was drinking, it was a mess, you know.
It was assault.
And I wish I had had a friend, but also I recognize, and this is the trust. Did I tell anyone? No. Didn't tell my sister, who I love. Didn't tell my mom. Didn't tell a single friend. Didn't tell anyone until I was 36 years old in this room.
But honestly, why would you? The people who were there, who should have been there for you in the moment, weren't. Your friend who should have stuck up for you in the moment was too busy thinking about herself and how sexy she was and how attractive she was. And oh, they want me to even acknowledge what had happened to you.
I'm going to end it there. That was a really low note. I agree with her. I do think it was SA. I think it was. I also agree the hurt people thing does not stand in any case. I don't care if you've been hurt. You're not allowed to hurt others. Okay? I think a lot of people will use that excuse a lot to be like, to really justify their behavior. And it's like, I don't freaking care. Like, you need to get a hold of yourself. And we can forgive like past hurts of people who maybe they realize later on, like, oh, that was pretty crappy of me, but this is an extreme circumstance. There was no excuse for that. Yeah, guys, sorry we're ending it here, but this was kind of a crazy episode. I'm sure we're gonna pick up right on the tears when we film the next part. Hopefully that's the last part. I don't really know what's gonna happen there. But yeah, guys, sorry for Rebecca. Like that was horrific. That was terrible. I guess we're gonna keep on sleuthing. We're gonna keep on looking for clues for Maria. We know that Maria is invested in this friendship. Seems like they weren't that invested in her though. And with that being said, I'll talk to you later. Bye.